All right, everyone, here is more about the engine. So, started out as a stock engine and decided to replace that for a couple different reasons. So, I got a Craig Woolman Signature Series block. You can look them up, Craig Woolman Engines or Craig Woolman Performance. It's a line board, nitrated crank, blueprinted balanced, Manley H2 rods, Janie gaskets, race bearings, ARP head studs, the list goes on and on. So that started with that. Then it's a 2005 STI heads that were completely rebuilt. And then as far as turbocharging, getting into the fun bits, we'll kind of do a walk around and I'll explain. So I went as big as I could without having to go front mount and rotated. So that is a Blausch Dominator XTR 8 centimeter squared turbo. It's being fed by an NVIDIA catless up pipe, and it goes to an NVIDIA catless down pipe, and then to NVIDIA Q300 exhaust the rest of the way out. That's a Process West top mount intercooler, a Cobb 3-port electronic boost controller, Aeromotive fuel pressure regulator, IEG fuel rails, injector dynamic 1000cc injectors. IAG is better to see them, easier to see them this way. IAG TGV deletes, if we can get some good light. There we go, barely. So IAG TGV delete. Oh, this might be better here. There we go. There. So those are the TGV deletes. Perrin turbo inlet, Cobb SF air filter, Mr. Gas fuel lines all the way around, IAG fuel pressure dampeners. Again, got some, you can't really see it, but there's the top feed fuel injectors, injector dynamics, Deechworks 356 pump. This is custom made by me. That's out of an old trucker box, and I was working on trying to get a cold air system built in here where a cold air ram would come in, and then I was going to build a box completely around and have this completely enclosed. Didn't get around to it. This is a Zero Sports, imported from Japan, top mount intercooler hood scoop splitter, and then I DIY'd this part to mount flush against the top mount intercooler. And this was before I added that white line front straight or strut bars. So then what I had to do is I had to cut it and then angle it down some more. This is also where I had planned on running my intercooler sprayer. All right, you can't really see it right there, but there is the JDM Forester STI 6-speed that I installed. That is a PTP turbo blanket, stainless steel oil feed lines, stock coolant reservoir, a gimmick thick twin core aluminum radiator. What else do we got? Oh, here's part of the HIDs. The HIDs actually fit right there. It's on the bracket, but that's when I was working with it. But there are your HIDs. Feel free to take those out and make them LED and update them. Also, Grim Speed brake booster support right there, as you can see. All fuel lines have been replaced by Mr. Gas. Every single vacuum line I replaced as well when I was doing this build, just to give you an idea how much OEM vacuum lines cost for this entire turbo motor, because they were all hard and cracked. It was $1,200 in just OEM vacuum lines. This is an 05 STI bypass valve. The blow-off valve is not needed for this vehicle. A process with, of course, Process West inlet, and then this is part of the Process West inlet there. You can also see part of my fuel line, and I think that is it as far as the engine compartment goes. Everything's pretty doggone tight in here. I have had to brace this up to clear the slave cylinder down there for the transmission. There is a part you can buy from Australia that supposedly moves it further this way and clears. It was what it was the lid was hitting the intercooler piping, and so I spaced it up and kind of shaved that guy down a bit, and it looks like I need to do a flush, so I will do that before this is shipped. Also, coolant, as you can see, is hard to see. It's topped off. Oil, it is due for an oil change, but I will pull it out and show you guys. I do have the oil and oil filter to do it. I use Schaefer's 5W50. It has an extra zinc content in it, but that has been hard to get, so I have been using either Rotella 5W40 or Valvoline heavy duty diesel 5W40. You want to use 5W40. I prefer using the Schaefer's. It has the zinc. It's a really good oil, but in today's situation, the Valvoline and or Rotella have been good as well, but you want to use a 5W40 diesel oil because of the amount of pressures that are going on in this thing. It's 22 pounds of boost. It's about approximately, you got to do the parasitic loss, it's approximately 538 pound or 530 horse at the crank, which is about 350 to all four wheels. All right, so now what I'm going to do is swing around to the passenger side, give you a bit of look at the suspension here from this point. So those are STI control arms. And then I did the 4-piston conversion. So those are 07 WRX brakes along with Stop Tech steel braided brake lines. You can also see that I used, so we have white line ball or outer tie rod replaced with the new inner tie rod, white line ball joints, white line anti-lift control arm bushing mounts. So in other words, what anti-lift means is they're positioned a certain way, and the way the bushing is designed, it creates creates a high lift, so it keeps it more firmly planted. White line front sway bar, along with white line adjustable end links. The OEM ones they don't fit correctly, so you have to upgrade to those to be able to make it to fit, because this part is further out on the STI control arms, the aluminum ones versus the stock steel ones. All right, and then here's a look at my headers. So agency power ceramic coated equal length headers, Killer B 6-quart oil pan system. All right, with the titanium baffle and titanium pickup tube. Here is the engine. Little bit of seepage, not a lot, or that could be just from me spilling oil one day. We won't talk about it. All right, and then underneath on this side, cruising over, as you can see. Oops, keep it facing this direction here, and then Group N motor mounts. Okay, and then we have white line power steering rack bushing mounts. Okay, then we're cruising over here. There is the NVIDIA catless downpipe. This is the Forester STI 6-speed out of an 04 Forester. I did do all the wiring conversions, so your cruise works, your reverse lights work. White line bushings, transmission mount bushings. Every single bushing in here has been replaced by white line. I also did the transmission mount bushing inserts. It's Torque Solution hard mount driveline mounts. Right there. And then it's a Torque Solution bushing for that, and it's Torque Solution shift bushing up there. So all of that has been hard mounted. You will definitely feel a little bit of vibration and tone while driving. Okay, this is a very purposely built car. Here's a side look of it with the other side on with the tires. All right. I was going to use it for autocross, never got to it. But it is a very spirited car. Look at the back side of the block there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can, there you go, going into all the fun stuff where the magic happens. All right, working our way back. This is the NVIDIA Q300 exhaust, and then what I had is my exhaust guide, and of course I'll take a picture. So when I had this all torn apart, I also pressure washed it. I had a hoist back then, hoist availability. So pressure washed and undercoated everything. So everything's been undercoated. There is the Perimeter Racing Rally thick rear differential skid plate, and then those are the only things that are not white line. Those are torque performance or something like that. Anyway, these are all white line control arms. I will get into it when I get on the outside of this car. This is the Forester STI rear diff. It's non-DCCD, which makes it really, really responsive and not having to worry about controlling. So I had my exhaust guy build me an exhaust using the NVIDIA bumper or muffler and putting it in its stock location. So it's still in its stock location, and that way a full-size spare still fits. All right, now coming back around here, we'll do it this way. Okay, part of the rear suspension, why I say it's a DIY 3-link. So I had to buy 2 sets of the white line KTL 23. So it only comes with this one and this one right here. I figured out how to replace this link by machining a bushing to fit the inside outside diameter. So I had to buy 2 sets of KTL 124s, to be able to build this. But this took out all of the stock suspension that's back here, and of course a white line rear sway bar with adjustable white line and links as well. There you go. All right, so there's kind of a good shot of it. There we go. Very, very responsive. This thing handles significantly different than it was with stock. I hard welded caster bolts in there. They wanted you to just bolt them in. I welded them in because this thing's gone so far. If you want to take it back to stock, good luck, have fun. But anyway, so that is the suspension. One thing I never did get around to was replacing the struts. So it still sits at stock height. I would like to have been able to replace the struts with some nice firm coilovers. Look at the rear. So these are the 2 piston brakes with Stop Tech drilled and slotted rotors and pads. Same with the front. There's a better look at the subframe bushings. Those are the Power Flex. There we go. Those are Power Flex. All right, but the rest is all white line. So example, right? I mean, that's white line. This is all white line. Like I said, there's the list. Okay, so there's suspension.